Well, hello there, social media family. Oh, did you say something, Ed? Here's Johnny. Thank you. Anyway, though, where was I? Oh, yeah. Well, hello there, social media family. Being any person among yourselves, from my subscribers to visitors alike who are still supposedly affiliated, associated with, and are representing my own particular YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room and comment section. How are you all doing? Then, for that matter, how are any of your loved ones, being any relatives or family members, and likewise friends of your many different immediate personal households? And moving right along. And just cut to the chase, or this rather late night evening hour. And please do disregard or ignore any disruptions or interruptions or disturbances to the broadcast. I have little, if any, control over any outside agitators that could possibly attempt to throw a monkey wrench in the program or the plan at hand, just as long as any party crashers or, would be home invaders or be, the outsiders outside of my apartment door are literally actually closet home invaders or not, or would be home invaders being a witch, or would be intruders being a witch, would be just as devastating as the little actual real McCoy of the likes of social reject, criminal riffraff of that particular sort of type, and for whatever other characters of the usual suspects and the public enemy number ones, being of which they themselves could possibly have become or be of the likes thereof. Just as long as they themselves remember to stay outside of my apartment door, then we won't have a problem. Be they some or such my present proverbial neighbors from down hell, among public nuisance and problem neighbors, or be they, likewise strangers who do not live in the building as fellow neighbors, residents or tenants paying annual monthly rent, utilities, etc. here, and could possibly be some strangers who have just got access to the building, who have come off of the streets. Likewise, let it be said and stated for the record, just as long as they remember to stay outside my apartment door, and we won't have a problem from there. And moving right on. But then, how are you all doing, my social media family? Whereas I was asking questions much earlier of your persons being subscribers and visitors alike, feel they associate with and represent my own particular YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room comment section. And for that matter, how are any of your loved ones and family members and friends? Hopefully it's all good in the hood, and you all, are not becoming subject to experiencing that is the same or similar to what I am when it comes to that. Come down to certain neighbors, or as I had described the likes much earlier, of the same as said in question. For aforementioned, and I do believe in calling the police by exercising my trigger happy, that my itchy trigger happy emergency telephone call dialing finger to alert the local police authorities that there's trouble in paradise. Read between lines, fill in the blanks. And as I have called them a number of times, a certain particular proverbial neighbor from damn hell, being one of the likes me as himself was coming off as a local vicinity area, neighborhood community, drug pusher, and or dope dope dealer. You know, regardless of whether or not he himself is still within the land of the living West. I'm hearing one thing from one person, then I'm hearing another thing from another individual. One saying that one believes he himself had moved into another unit of a place bed in an apartment for this building, premises, properties, real estate, and where still another person was saying, and more was less, that one believes that he got popped with a 6 shooter from behind, coming from a rival counterpart of still another gang banging, drug pusher, or dope dealer. All the while he was about to bust a nut in his woman, and at the same time, rival counterpart of still another male character representing the same sex was behind him. And at that given time, as he himself was about to bust a nut in his woman, he himself, being the rival counterpart, is busting a cap in the back of the skull of his head. Yeah, at the same time, he's busting a nut, getting his rocks off on his jollies off while he's on top of between the legs of, his woman. We want a born and raised female person of a woman representing opposite sex, or a female impersonator of a cocksucking faggot, or transvestite, hermaphrodite, or transgender. I'm just saying, for the sake of argument, as Matt speak, and as well for the sake of argument for that last mention, and not that I'm homo bashing. And no, I'm not a member of the Westboro Baptist Church, although I still could possibly be matched out of contemplating becoming a member of that particular one. I'm supposed so-called religious sanctuary. Although I don't agree with everything they say, but some things they be putting out there in cyberspace, be hitting it, hitting it on the money, like a hammer hitting on a nail. They be killing it, getting it out there, and moving right along. Yeah. Not that I'm into spreading any misinformation either. Hope that thought you all. Sorry about that. Yeah. Anyway, though, where was I? Well, I was asking your persons how y'all doing. Well, before I lose my train of thought, and then some more social media. Yeah. And as I was saying, let's just cut to the chase. Get on with it. Not that, well, I don't want to go into the, unless I were to give y'all the Cliff Notes version, how this other neighbor from down here, an apartment above that of my own, as well as give the Cliff Notes version of how one is misbehaving, like one is attempting to, replace the last main neighbor from down here with local drug pusher who was attempting to make my life living down here. From following me as in stalking me into the business office in West, all I'm going in there to do is to try to renew my apartment lease, although I was having misgivings about it. Then because of him, then he had attempted to flip the script, make it seem like I myself am the troublemaker, a cowardly bully, and a terrorist wannabe, a predator, and like himself is the prey of a victim, to how at one time or another he himself Had attempted to ride his bike up on me not once but twice. The second time he goes into his coat jacket pocket, depending on whatever season of the year it was, whether it had been for winter or summer. And he's saying, I got something for you, so I'm pulling out my cell phone. And I'm saying from there, well, let my police friends know that you have got something for me. And then he rolled off just as quick as he rolled up on me like a coward that he was coming off as. Cowardly bully terrorist wanted to be again. He did it again. This time he had his car parked alongside the building, was saying in more words or less, I got something for you again. And I'm going toward the train station right across the street from the building of a mass transit public transportation system with all these many different bus and train routes, in which I don't really venture out in the late night evening hours, with the exception only as a matter of an emergency crisis. And that time I was trying to, go pay a visit to my flesh and blood brother in a local neighborhood community hospital for the vicinity area, and then I had to change my mind because of this character, a main neighbor from down here, a drug pusher, and a dope dealer, and had to call the police again on him for that one illegal criminal incident of a hate crime in his own right, And then there was one time he's running down the sidewalk with one hand in his coat or jacket pocket, regardless of whatever season of the year, and I was about to catch, a train for the local train station right across the street from the building, but I had to take a detour and catch a bus route instead. And then I called the police on him again for that hate crime of illegal criminal incident in his own right. To at one time or another, I'm coming back from the hospital myself after having been treated for a physical health issue, and he's standing in the front entranceway of the building, front entrance as well as the building, and where he could have possibly already had some homies of accomplices in crime paying a visit in person, as well as he could have been talking to one on his own personal cell phone, and from them having to change my mind and try to enter the building via one or two back doors, in which I barely made it into my apartment after unlocking it and then closing back and locking it, again, and where he's standing outside my apartment door, cussing, swearing like a drunken sailor on shore leave, attempting to paint the town red with one's drinking buddies before one were to have to make it back to the base with or without one's fellow military personnel, American GI, before MPs were to be sent out, before one were to be court-martialed and sent back to, and before one were to be court-martialed and sent to the military stockade for not having made it back to the base, is what I meant to say. Military base. Prince Peace continued regular than that, compared how the Prince of Darkness into the computer. Not that he himself was or is a military veteran, but then I myself am. And whereas he's standing outside my apartment door, cousin swearing like a drunken sailor, misbehaving like he himself is practically, if not possibly, upon the verge of kicking my apartment door in an extreme, violent, physical kind of way, and whereas I barely managed to get off an emergency telephone call to the police, although my cell phone was dying at the same time I'm charging it up. And whereas he would make a habit of going in and out of one or two back doors to the building more than the other one, mainly or mostly, or that much more than one next to my apartment door, although the lock mechanism is jammed and these repairs, therefore he would prop something in between the door and the board to make sure he can come and go as easily as he pleases, as well as he could do so with the other back door that needs not any repairs, being because there's nothing wrong with this lock mechanism. And so much for that conversation and dialogue. And we're right along. But anyway, though, getting back to some such with a slight injection. Then this other neighbor from down here, an apartment above that my own, one misbehaves like one is attempting to replace the main neighbor from down here of a local who is or was, depending on whether or not he's still in the land of living, as I had described the situation. Was one person said he moved to another unit in the building, whereas another said that he got popped with a 6 shooter by a rival gangbanging drug push. And whereas this other neighbor from down here in an apartment above that of my own is misbehaving. Very same one, otherwise, that I had played the part of a good Samaritan for by delivering one's personal medication or medicine to one's door, knocking on it and delivering it to that person in person of a female person or woman, and where she shows how much she is grateful, thankful for me doing so by doing the total opposite, acting like a complete dickhead prick. And like I said, like one is misbehaving, like one is attempting to replace the main neighbor from down here being the last one of a local drug pushing drug pusher who is no longer on the same floor level with me in the building, whereas he was staying a couple few apartment doors down from me and moving right along. You know, yeah. Thank you for paying the visit, you all. I'm glad to see that you are in attendance, be you subscribers or visitors to my own particular YouTube social media channel and our chat room. And not that I was wagging the dog as and changing the subject, but getting on to what I was meaning to speak upon, being of the subject matter at hand, or that being of the topic of discussion to be debated, or being as is given an argument with the many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and or representing some of such thereof. Now that they got the preliminaries out of the way, being vice versa. And all I was saying is, if you could possibly become subjected to experiencing, like I myself, any disruptions or interruptions of the present social media broadcast, being as is the video content material, disregard or ignore any proverbial neighbors from damn hell characters who could possibly be the root causes for some of such, unless the disruption or interruption to the present broadcast is coming from some such other source, if you know what I mean. Read between lines, and let's just dive into the present subject matter. Like cannonball, talk about a swimming pool. And whereas this is regarding making reference to how most recently I had encountered, that of a person, of an underage minor, of a born and raised female person, of a preteen girl, for that matter, representing the opposite sex, and where she was scared to death. You know, upon the mass transit of a public transportation system with all of its many different buses and train routes, and where we was on the same transport, regardless of whether it was for a bus or a train, and where she was with her mom, and where, I'm wondering, was she afraid of something that her mom could have said or done, or something that I myself could have possibly unintentionally and on absentmanities said or done, and which I felt bad behind that. I mean, it had bothered my conscience, I mean, you should have seen this little girl of a non-white female person, an underage mind of a preteen, of a female representing opposite sex. She was scared. You could see it in her eyes, and I felt bad behind that. If it could have possibly had been something that I could have said or done that could have made her feel so much fright, to feel so fearful or frightened, or whatever I said. Excuse pardon, forgive me for butchering the English language and American dialect. I felt bad behind that. I really did. And I was like, oh, poor little child. And to think that she was listening to something on an electronic device, and it was repeating, saying, I come from a broken home. I mean, I'm sorry the waterworks are coming. You know that I have come from a broken home myself. I felt bad behind that. I really did. I had to warn you all about the waterworks. I felt bad behind that. That I come from a broken home myself, And I wouldn't do anything that would harm or hurt a woman. I much less a child, girl or boy, or or even so, a grown adult male person of another man representing opposite sex, with the exception being if it were to be gone about as a matter of self-defense. Because I have got to protect myself, you know. That's including from any party crashers or intruders or home invaders, you know. And regardless of whether or not I were to get the upper hand, and if one were to get the upper hand on me, hopefully I would have left my business cards to let another grown adult male person of an individual being of a man with or without any accomplice in crime or homies. Hopefully I would have let one know by leaving my business card all the same that I am a force to be reckoned with, especially as I am prior military enlistment personnel. No. But getting back to some such not that I was wagging the dog or changing the subject, you know. But in getting back to the original subject matter, the topic of discussion to be debated or given argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated and associated with and representing some such thing. But I felt really bad, you know, and knowing that my own natural father, though at one time now he started out okay, but after a while he come off like whereas he would be considered as the male character of Darth Vader, in contrast to me, compared to my person, whereas I would be considered as Luke Skywalker, of a male character otherwise of the same sex, okay? And I just felt so bad behind that, you know. I was like, wow, I hope the little girl is not afraid of me. No. I'm sorry, I have to warn you all from time to time, you know, when the waterworks are coming. The real tears, but you know, I felt bad behind that. Yeah. I was like, wow, poor little innocent child. You're not afraid of me. I started to ask, but I didn't want to plant a seed in her head or in a manner that could possibly trigger something to make her feel even more afraid. If she was afraid of me, I might think I wouldn't harm you. You know, if anything, I try to protect you and your mom, though. You know, I'm quite fearful of the passengers at times upon the mass transit or public transportation system. I say and state this for the record. Although, regardless of how my person am a believer in God, so how much more fearful I would become or be of other passengers upon mass transit, public transportation system, if I was still an unsaved non-believer or unbeliever. No, I mean, her mom made a physical gesture for a purse, like I don't know. Like I said, you wouldn't attempt to harm another passenger and assuming things, and traumatize your little child, would you? You know. And I'm wondering, she going to church? I'm going into a person. I say, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about my head now. That say the word church. I'm believing God. I'm like wondering why is she going to a purse? You know, she ain't got a stigma jig or worse yet, a 6-shooter in there, assuming me to be quite a street character, an animal monster. I wouldn't think to harm her or her child. Underage minor of a female person. You know, I feel bad. Oh, thank you for that. You know, yeah, prayer is the answer. Yeah, I felt bad behind that. I was like, wow. And reflecting upon my childhood with my father, my natural father, compared to my stepdad, who was great. My natural father was an animal monster after a while. The very one that was supposed to had become or be the protector and provider as he was for a while, had became an animal or monster. I don't know, against but I can't even get my words together as much as I would like to. Prince of Peace continue regular in mind compared to how the Prince of Darkness tends to conclude my speech at this late hour. I don't know if I should share this here in specific details, though I spoke rather vaguely. First of all, I guess I can. You see, my father, though this may come back and hunt me to go into specific detail, my father, though at one time or another he was a protector and provider, He became the very strange of an animal, a monster we would have expected to be the characters of any of those street animals or monsters, But a father figure and a husband, a personal family household is supposed to protect as well as provide for one's own immediate personal family household. My father, he himself had not only beaten the crap out of my mom, but he had essayed as in sexually assaulted or raped my sister, his own daughter. And I was wondering, how in the world do you do that? How you come off like that? I'm wondering, I felt kind of bad and thinking maybe I could have possibly, have played a part in that. I know you all may say, how do you figure that? Well, you see, at one time or another, we used to stay in the projects, right? And my sister we were coming back from the store with me and my brother with our sister, and we come into contact with some gangbangers. And all of a sudden, these gangbangers, they grabbed my sister and held up against the wall. And one of them was about to S.A. her as in sexual assault or rape or molest her, right? And somehow I managed to get through the opening of a door in the project and ran in the direction of my family's place of residence, a project unit, right? And I told my father, my father ran in the direction toward the hallway where the gangbanger was at, attempting to sexually assault, rape, or molest my sister, his daughter, and they ran away. And then, ever since that had happened, all of a sudden, that's when the abuse had began to happen. My father abusing my sister, his only daughter, in an intimate, sensual, sexual way. Up until the time that where he should have been prosecuted and thrown in jail behind that. Yeah. But my mom didn't report it, but nevertheless, like unfortunately my mom didn't report it, but nevertheless, fortunately the judge had ruled in my mom's favor so far as to grant my mom a divorce from my father, and whereas she had gotten custody of all the siblings, including myself and my brothers, as well as my sister. And so that took our father out of the picture. And then years later, he wanted to attempt to get in contact with my female relatives. And at one time or another, whereas my mom, she was talking to him on the phone. I snatched the phone phone receiver out of my mom's hand, and I got to talking to him. I like saying, "Look here, Melford, you son of a, you bastard! If you ever attempt to get into the lives of any of my female relatives, man, I will beat the damn crap out of you." To put it mildly, but I think you all get the general idea of what I told him. I beat you black and blue. Man, I will knock you out with one punch, and you will be in another world from there. If you all know what I mean, read between the last in the blanks. But now he's deceased, as well as unfortunately my mom and grandma, and I suspect that both of them. So far, I'm speaking on the latter mention. I suspect both of them had become subject to experiencing elder abuse, not only in the different nursing homes that each of them was in, each of them being to different nursing homes, to quite a few, but also at the hands of some of such doctors and nurses at different hospitals. They've been to different hospitals. My mom been to different hospitals, and my grandma been to different hospitals. And likewise, as my mom been to different nursing homes, and my grandma been to different nursing homes. And I suspect that they have been, physically and emotionally abused at the different hospitals and nursing homes they were at. You know, yes, I suspect that my mom had been physically and emotionally abused at the different hospitals and different nursing homes she was at, as well as I suspect that my grandma had been, physically and mentally abused at the different hospitals and different nursing homes she was at herself, being the maternal heads and matriarchs for my own immediate personal family household. I would like to have any nursing home staff personnel and doctors and nurses charged with hate crimes if the time frame period, expiration of civil and human rights violations has not expired at all depends. But unfortunately, I'm afraid that it may have. I don't know. So that just got me to reflecting upon, when a little girl was on a mass transit, regardless of whether it was for a bus or train route, when I could see the fear in her eyes, it just done something bad to me. I mean, it bothered my conscience, And as I get to reflect upon my own proverbial neighbor from down hell, of some of such closet psychopaths and sociopaths. I'm sorry, the waterworks to come together. It made me feel bad, Even when I reflect on it now, it just really makes me feel bad. I'm sorry, I'm getting quite emotional. It really did make me feel bad, you all. Yeah. I'm sorry, the waterworks come. I'm coming again. Waterworks, it came. I'm coming again. And as you all can see, for that matter, that these here are some of such real tears. That's me brag on such. I just thought to warn y'all. I'm sorry. Thought to warn y'all. Yeah, I really feel bad behind that, Anyway, though, I'm about to conclude the broadcast. With this slight interjection. Anybody that harms a woman or a child, being some of such a male, a grown adult, of a man who harms or hurts a woman or a child is nothing more than a cowardly bully, an animal, and a monster, as well as if any grown adult male and adult of a man attempts to harm or hurt the elderly. You know what I'm saying? But then on this last note of interest, I would like to say, and that is, if you haven't gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, do it now while the blood is still running warm in the veins, so that you could possibly become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven and don't have to worry about ending up in the lake of fire down hell. Y'all take care. We out. Peace.